Avery Whitman stood by the window of her Chicago apartment, the city's skyline reflected like shards of glass across her eyes. On paper, her life was immaculate. A senior financial consultant, corner office, independence earned after years of grit. Yet, as sunlight cut through the blinds, it highlighted the emptiness she'd carried since leaving Greenwich, Connecticut, the manicured lawns, the whispered judgments, the golden glow of family approval that had always eluded her. She picked up her phone out of routine, the weight of expectation pressing against her chest. Then her mother's name lit up the screen. The calm voice on the line seemed to glide above her anger. "Darling, guess what? Eli's getting married." The words hit with a precision that left Avery hollow. On paper, her brother was golden, the heir apparent to the Whitman legacy, marrying Sloane Carrington, a name woven into the fabric of wealth and influence. Avery swallowed the tightness in her throat. "That's wonderful," she said evenly. By the time she hung up, a friend's text shattered her final illusions. #Hatch Carrington Whitman to Anson 25. Photos of tux fittings, floral swatches, champagne glimmers, all posted publicly, Avery's presence absent. Her stomach twisted. The rejection was deliberate. She sank onto the couch, Amazon packages scattered around her like abandoned hopes. For a moment, she imagined herself back in the Whitman house, hedges trimmed to perfection, crystal chandeliers lighting judgmental faces. She imagined knocking on the door. Would they even notice? Would they care? In a decision that surprised even her, Avery booked a flight. Not to plead, not to protest, but to witness. To see the world she'd been erased from and feel the clarity of stepping outside its suffocating orbit. The cab through Greenwich felt like entering a memory suspended in time. The Whitman estate gleamed, untouched by consequence, servants setting tables, her mother orchestrating perfection. Avery rang the bell. The door swung open, and in that instant, the air shifted. Crystal flutes froze midair. Her father's expression stiffened, Eli's shoulders tensed. "This is for people we actually love," her mother said later, words slicing sharper than any blade. Avery felt nothing yet, no tears, no anger, only the cold, quiet weight of finality. For years she had sought approval she would never earn. Now she understood. Her belonging was not theirs to give. She turned away from the gilded cage. The Connecticut air bit at her cheeks as she flagged the first car, suitcase in hand. She didn't need permission to leave. She needed only to claim herself. The flight to Bali was long enough for Avery to let her thoughts tumble like stones down a cliff. Memories of childhood floated unbidden, blanket forts, whispered jokes in the dark, a father too absorbed in papers to notice, a brother chosen as the golden child. Pain and longing intertwined, but beneath them grew a strange sense of relief. She had finally escaped the performance her family demanded. Bali greeted her like a living painting, humid air heavy with frangipani, rice terraces rolling endlessly, a warm, forgiving light spilling across everything. Avery's villa perched on the edge of a ravine, a quiet sanctuary far removed from the Whitmans' crystal-laden halls. She slept until her body called her awake, breathed until her lungs felt full, ate mangoes while sunlight spilled across the terrace floor. But even in paradise, the past whispered. Her phone rang endlessly. Her mother, her father, family assistants, all demanding attention, crisis management, money, explanations. Each buzz was a tether pulling her back into a life she'd abandoned. She ignored them, trusting instead in the quiet of the villa, the rhythm of the natural world, and the gentle presence of Kita, the driver and guide who had become her anchor. On the fifth day, she rose before dawn and followed Kita to the Tirtha Impel temple, sacred waters flowing through stone mouths into a long pool. Strangers moved around her, devotion etched into every gesture. Avery stepped into the cold stream, water cascading over her shoulders, her hair, her heart. Names spilled from her lips, Eli, her parents, herself. Each whisper peeled away years of yearning, guilt, and invisible chains. When she emerged, soaked and trembling, something unnameable had shifted. For the first time, Avery felt unclaimed by her family yet fully present in herself. She made no declarations, offered no justifications. The world had narrowed to the sound of water, the scent of flowers, the beating of her own pulse. The calm shattered with a single voicemail, the wedding postponed indefinitely. Avery blinked. No explanation, no apology, just a stone dropped into the pond of her newfound peace. She called Natalie Chin, who confirmed the truth. Eli's gambling debts, $500,000, a scandal that would have destroyed the carefully curated legacy. Suddenly, the very family that had excluded her now demanded her expertise, her guidance, her approval. They expected Avery to fix the mess she had been denied witnessing. A hollow victory settled over her. Eli called, voice fractured. Avis, I know I don't deserve this, but I need help. For the first time, she heard her brother's vulnerability, his uncertainty. But Avery understood she could not be the rescue. Her healing had been bought with detachment. The choice she had finally made, hers alone, was the first real act of power she had ever taken against her family's suffocating expectations. I'm not sending you money. I'm not coming home, she said quietly. And for the first time, the phone became an extension of her autonomy, not a leash of obligation. She turned it off, handing it to Kita, asking him to keep it for 3 days. Silence followed, not empty but liberating. The next days in Bali became a rhythm of self-discovery. Mornings brought yoga at sunrise, afternoons wandered through marketplaces, evenings were dedicated to journaling under candlelight. Avery let laughter and conversation fill her, without agenda or expectation. Strangers became companions. Sarah and Daniel, honeymooners from Melbourne, shared their own family disappointments. In their conversation, Avery discovered something she had only half remembered. Love could be chosen, nurtured, and rebuilt. The world was no longer a cage, no longer a ledger of approvals denied or earned. But the climax approached, not with violence or confrontation, but with clarity. Her family's crisis could not pull her back into the old pattern. She faced the decision, remain the rescuer or fully embrace her freedom. Eli's messages escalated. Her parents called, desperate for her guidance. Each ping was a test of Avery's resolve. And then the final call came. Eli's voice broke, raw and unfiltered. I can't do this without you. Avery's heart twisted. Years of hurt, betrayal, and longing collided. But the lesson of Bali, the ritual, the sacred water, everything crystallized. She could love, but not at the cost of erasing herself. No, she whispered. You'll have to find your own way. I've found mine. For the first time, she hung up without apology, without explanation, without guilt. And in that moment, she felt a power deeper than revenge, peace. Weeks later, Avery returned to Chicago, carrying the calm and clarity she had earned. Her apartment smelled of eucalyptus, her plants thriving, her life chosen. She hosted Thanksgiving not for obligation, but for love, laughter, and authenticity. Eli arrived cautiously, tentative, a man beginning to rebuild. No dramatic reconciliations, just presence, honesty, and the shared acknowledgement that family could now be redefined. Avery looked around at the table, the mismatched chairs, the warm lights, and felt home, not in a house or a name, but in the people who chose her. In her own chosen family, she had built the life she had always deserved. And as the city lights shimmered outside, Avery realized something profound. Belonging isn't inherited. It's claimed, nurtured, and earned in the quiet courage of choosing yourself again and again.